Read the disclaimer.
Futurama. Chances are you can name the Planet Express crew off the top of your head. But sadly, we recently saw the series finale. Personally, I think Futurama was ready to finish when it did. This classic was given a dignified finish rather than the slow, decaying end we've been seeing in The Simpsons for the last 10 years.
What happened to the movie?
I've got nothing against the latest episodes of The Simpsons. They're still quality episodes. But I think we can all agree this show was well and truly ready to finish 6 to 7 years ago. Futurama had some unusual quirks to it compared to other animated shows. One unusual one was that the characters would normally age in real time. 10 years after the show starts, we're seeing the 10-year Planet Express anniversary. In a 13-year running animated show, you would almost never see that sort of thing. It would have been interesting to see that sort of thing in The Simpsons. Bart's overly dramatic relationships would probably be considerably more dramatic if he wasn't 10 years old. Anyway, this is not necessarily a list of the most sentimental or even the funniest episodes. This is a list of the episodes I think that combined all the elements of entertainment needed to make a great show. Futurama has always kept the feel of a cult classic show regardless of its popularity. While not all the episodes were great, the best episodes were a breath of fresh air that left you laughing, thinking, or even misty-eyed sometimes. Strangely, for all the time I spent watching movies as a teen, this show is the only series that has remained in my library to this day.
Go for a drink.
Except for Neko Ramen, for some reason. Awesome free show, you should check it out. I left it in the comments. But anyway, the following is the top 10 best Futurama episodes of all time. Number 10. Fry and the Slurm Factory. It's an oldie, but well worth the 10th place on this list. A parody of both Willy Wonka and Coca-Cola, Fry and the Slurm Factory is just a fun episode. We watch our favourite trio of Fry, Leela and Bender as they try to uncover the bizarre true ingredient of slurm. I personally saw it as a commentary on large corporations like Coca-Cola particularly, and their powerful grip in the consumer market. That being said, it doesn't bludgeon us over the head with this message. It's a pleasant bout of our favourite trio. Later episodes had a lot less of Fry, Bender and Leela, and I've never really understood why. It may be because of the tension between Fry and Leela in later episodes, or maybe it's just because they wanted to try different combinations of the crew working together. This episode is visually fantastic as well. It takes us through so many different landscapes and scenes, and is just crammed full of quotable lines and fun jokes. While not revolutionary, it's a very memorable and funny episode.
Bender, why did you jump in?
Everybody was doing it. I just wanted to be popular.
Number 9. Leela's Homeworld. Maybe I'm just vulnerable to endings like this, but I've yet to not get choked up at the end of this episode. This episode starts off on a hilarious high and manages to stay there throughout the entire episode.
Bender, cut it out! First of all, the sewer mutants will be mad. Second, everything else that's horribly wrong with what you're doing.
Leela's history is finally revealed, and we get a whole new cast of star characters like the mutants, Leela's parents, and this guy.
It worked for me. I used to be a little blonde girl named Virginia.
Leela's parents are probably the most likable parents I've seen in an animated TV show, and even all the mutants have their own unique charm. I can't think of one mutant character I didn't like, and when you're creating over 20 new characters, that's pretty damn impressive. To top it all off, it has a very profound message that states subtly and very matter-of-factly what Beauty and the Beast took all of Disney at their best to convey. Beauty is on the inside. This episode proves the Futurama crew's talent for making its audience both laugh and cry, and combining both to make a touching and unforgettable experience.
Well, anyway, just remember that people care about you.
I know. Sometimes, when I'm lonely, I look up at the sky and I get this feeling that somewhere, on some unknown planet circling a distant star, my parents are up there, looking down on me.
Number 8. Teenage Mutant Leela's Hurdles. This episode manages to be both clever and really intriguing to watch. Even just the first 5 minutes of this episode is hilarious. Just watching Farnsworth be himself is comedic gold. Due to an experiment gone wrong, we watch the Planet Express crew age backwards. They then go looking for the Fountain of Aging to bring themselves back to their adult ages. Characters like the Professor shine in episodes like this.
With my last breath, I curse Zoidberg!
Just watching the Futurama crew playing up the stereotypes of each age group, from prankster kids, teenage angst, hippie pot-smoking 20s to disco 30s, and all the bizarre stages our good old Zoidberg goes through every few seconds, is a blast to watch. This episode is a real spectacle, and well worth at least one viewing.
Even older! Huzzah!
Number 7. Saturday Morning Fun Pit. This episode is one of the biggest highlights of the final season. I laughed more in the first 5 minutes of this episode than I did in most of the best episodes of Futurama. It parodies cereal box cartoons, to advertising, to backlash, to everything our young minds were exposed to in after-school specials. It's a parody of all the corporate, sugar-coated junk we were fed as kids. Admittedly, this episode is not subtle. In fact, it slaps you in the face with its message with no subtlety whatsoever. This episode wouldn't have made the list if I hadn't laughed so much all the way through it.
Fruit, banana split.
It's a pleasure to watch, and really highlights how far the Futurama writers have come since Season 1. I highly recommend giving this episode a watch.
Here comes a water balloon. That's quite a splash.
Number 6. I, Roommate. This one was a difficult pick, but I feel it definitely deserves a place on this list.
Now you're okay.
In this episode, Bender becomes roommates with Fry, and that's the entire premise. But it's another really fun episode. It's incredibly simple, but this episode captures that perfect unique charm that Futurama has carried through all 7 of its seasons.
Hey, Amy.
Hey.
I don't think there's one line in this episode that I don't like.
I'm afraid my half-brother is correct. You see, I have a terrible secret, and that secret is...
Every second line uttered is a clever line.
To reiterate, my terrible secret is...
I love the atmospheric music, the odd couple variation, the settings, and especially the Planet Express crew in this episode. We also get a number of really good minor characters in this episode.
The robot has to go!
There's something to be said about keeping it simple, and this episode keeps a simple premise that manages to be clever and charming all the way through. Easily one of the most memorable episodes. I definitely recommend giving this episode a viewing. But chances are, you already have.
I don't know. I got a lot of great memories in my old place. And now they're gone.
Number 5. Godfellas. This episode is just huge.
First, I was God, then I met God.
We climbed a mountain and locked up some monks.
It's also a more insightful look into Bender's character than usual. We drift with him through space as he tries not to damage the thousands of tiny lives in his hands, which he, of course, like any person would, messes it up. This is one of those episodes I consider more than just an episode. It's a unique experience that you walk away better from. While I'm not personally a religious person, this episode has a moral message I really respect.
You can't count on God for Jack. He pretty much told me so himself. Now come on. If we don't save those monks, no one will.
Clever, insightful, but still has that light-hearted feel that Futurama does so well. I definitely recommend giving this one a watch.
When you do things right, people won't be sure you've done anything at all.
Number 4. Hell is Other Robots. Where to start with this episode? We open with a Beastie Boys concert, jump straight into Bender becoming flipped out on robotic equivalent to LSD. He then becomes an addict and then finds religious faith. He then loses his faith and then gets sent to hell.
Welcome to Robot Hell.
Then, Fry and Leela challenge the robot devil to a fiddle contest.
Run!
After which Bender flies them out. You just never know what's going to happen next in this episode. The robot devil is easily among the best minor characters ever introduced to Futurama.
Ways to simulate that smell. What a sorry fella, rolled up in smoke like a granatella. Gambling's wrong and so is cheating, so is forging phony IOUs. Let's let Lady Luck decide what type of torture's justified. I'm pit boss here on level 2. Ooh, deep-fried robots.
This song, you'll hear it once and you'll be humming it all day.
Robots worse than I. We checked around, there really are, and then please.
I would argue this is the best song ever done in Futurama. And we finish off with a Futurama remix done by the Beastie Boys. I don't think this episode has any low points. The characters are at their best, and it's among the most memorable episodes done in Futurama. It was the perfect finish for the first of many seasons to come for the Planet Express team.
You'll pay for every crime, knee-deep in electric slime. You'll suffer till the end of time, enduring tortures, most of which rhyme. Trapped forever here in Robot Hell!
Number 3. 300 Big Boys. I'm not positive why this episode is so fantastic. My theory is it's because it's an episode where the writers obviously had a ton of fun creating it, and it shows in this episode more than anywhere else in the series. It's just such a polished, perfect episode, I can't find any faults with it. Maybe this is because it's very similar to one of the most renowned Simpsons episodes, 22 short films about Springfield. We're getting a ton of snippets of the entire Futurama cast at their best. A bit like I, Roommate, it's just a really charming episode that was a pleasure to watch no matter how many times you view it. This episode asked a simple question. What would our favourite characters do with $300 in the year 3000? And there you have it, a perfect episode. Simply watching our favourite characters spend $300 in their quirky, unique ways in the year 3000 makes for a perfect episode. We see a little bit of everyone in this episode, but from Zap to Zoidberg, even Scruffy gets a moment in the spotlight. I can't call this episode the funniest or even the most emotionally investing. In fact, it's not emotionally investing at all, but it's just so damn pleasant and charming to watch that I have to call it a personal favourite. I'm not positive how other people generally feel in this episode, but this one is definitely among my top favourites, and I would highly recommend giving it a watch.
Why did I have to issue that crooked tax rebate?
At least we got a few mildly interesting stories out of it.
Oh my, yes.
Number 2. The late Philip J. Fry. This episode wasn't just big, it's absolutely gargantuan.
Did anyone else see that?
Watching these three travel through till literally the end of time and beyond is fantastic. Fry, Bender, and the Professor are a great trio, and it shows in this episode, with an unbelievable twist that is just hilarious.
Seconds, and here we...
Whoa! Stop! Give me the keys, Magoo!
We'll have to bring her around again.
It's just a spectacle to watch all the way through, and keeps you guessing on what's going to happen. I have a personal preference for the time travel episodes, but this also manages to be powerful, funny, and a real spectacle that simply cannot be matched in its pure size. As I mentioned, I really enjoy watching the Professor star in an episode, and this is another moment where he shines.
In fact, all life is extinct.
There is just twist after twist in this episode, and it's impossible to predict. This episode will make you laugh, cry, and will boggle your mind at the same time. It is everything that Futurama was at its very best. On a side note, it was also nominated for the 2011 Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Programs. It's an incredible episode and an absolute must-watch for the 6th season.
Here we are, the end of the universe.
Well, now what? You guys want to talk?
Before we get to number 1, I want to give an honorable mention to Anthology of Interest. These 2 episodes definitely deserve a place in at least the top 5. But I also think it's common knowledge that these are fantastic episodes. Everyone knows it. They're also very similar to the Treehouse of Horror episodes in The Simpsons. The writers are given free rein to come up with whatever ridiculous scenario they want, and then put the characters into it. Which, with the Futurama writers, results in some of the best episodes in Futurama ever made. There's little to be said about them that hasn't already been said. But that being said, if you haven't seen them, definitely give Anthology of Interest 1 and 2 a watch.
Oh, he's a madman! A madman!
Hi, Leela! Fry!
And now on to number 1.
We're back, baby!
Bender's Big Score. This episode is just the personal favorite of mine. I don't hear much about it on the internet, so I'm guessing I'm probably alone in thinking this episode is just fantastic. It manages to be both a serious episode and a hilarious episode. It's lighthearted yet incredibly serious at the same time. There's major character development, yet it's a hilarious lighthearted spectacle to watch all the way through. And there's always so much happening in the background that you'll want to watch it again.
Hi, how are you?
Low prices on erectile dysfunction remedies, sleeping pills, old person drugs, and antidepressants.
I think this episode is unappreciated in just how much new ground it broke. While I don't think it's the funniest episode, the story was just amazing, and it takes you everywhere. We zap through time with multiple stories going on in multiple time periods at once, and the stories all interconnect at the end in a perfect conclusion. The conclusion is so huge, in fact, that we literally see a crack form in the time and space continuum.
Well, we're boned.
I honestly think they could have ended the series right here, and most Futurama fans would have been okay with it. This movie ties up all the loose ends in the series and all the main stories from the first 5 seasons. We even find out how Fry's dog got turned into Char. I've personally always really liked the story of Lars. He is a completely different character to Fry, yet he's the same person at the same time. We see his beginning story, yet don't even realize we're watching his past till the very end. And in the one brief second the plot twist dawns on Fry, it dawns on us too, and we feel that emotion with him.
I'm Lars? I'm Lars! Wait for me, Leela! I'll be there in 1,000 years!
It also has a very adult message at the end, which I actually haven't seen in any other popular media for some reason.
But she needs what'll make her happy, not what'll make me happy.
Fry isn't the man Leela loves. Unrequited love does happen, and it can be heartbreaking. In the end, this message is summarized very profoundly, yet very simply by Fry when he tries to bring Lars and Leela together.
You two belong together. And Leela, I want what'll make you happy, not what'll make me happy.
Lars's finishing story still makes me misty-eyed when I see it. But I don't know, maybe I'm alone on this one, and just vulnerable to this sentimental stuff. But this is definitely my favorite. It's funny, it's replayable, it's massive, and it just touches me every time I see it. It was the best conclusion possible to this series. You could tell the writers tried incredibly hard with it, and it shows. Unlike some of the other more sentimental episodes, this movie uses its size to make room for both heaviness and lightheartedness in a way I didn't see in any other Futurama episode. It has the power to make me laugh, then simultaneously make me teary-eyed. For those reasons and more, I personally think this is the #1 best Futurama episode. Well, thanks for checking out my top 10 Futurama episode list. What's your favorite episode? It'd be great to hear some personal favorites from everyone else. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.